Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. I am India Wilkinson, the creator of Main Street Market. And today we have April Schiel with the Bedding Blocker. And she is going to talk to us today a little bit just about being an entrepreneur, being an inventor, and the successes and the challenges. But first, I want to talk about how I met you, April.
Okay.
So I think this is super powerful for people, though, because a lot of equestrians are not on LinkedIn. And you and I both believe that LinkedIn is a powerful resource. And I believe you reached out to me about something with the Bedding Blocker.
Yeah.
And I am really big on picking up the phone. So I said, hey, can we chat? And then we ended up chatting, and a really great friendship has developed from that. So
Absolutely.
I think that's so important for people to know it's scary to reach out. And I was so glad that you did. And I was just starting the app, and you were in the middle of launching the Bedding Blocker. So just tell everybody what your product is, how you thought of it, and we'll take it from there.
Okay. Yeah. So first of all, thank you so much for having me. This is very exciting. The LinkedIn thing was great, and I'm really glad to partner with Main Street. But so the Bedding Blocker, first of all, I am not an inventor by trade. I am a paramedic, a nurse. I'm used to being under pressure, used to thinking on my feet, but actually sitting down and analyzing the problem and trying to find a solution where I don't have to do it in a matter of seconds is not really how I think. So with the Bedding Blocker, I just built my farm from the ground up. We built a four stall pole barn, and my horses have access in and out. I have borders; they can pretty much exit and enter their stalls as they want. So I'm watching this happen. They're walking out and they're dragging bedding out into my paddocks, and is just getting disgusting mud. And then they're dragging mud in their stalls. I'm one of those people with my farm. I always have been. I like to bed my horses fairly well. I don't like them just on mats. So watching this disaster happen for almost a year until I realized I could put something in the threshold, it just was like a light bulb. And when you think of something, you have, and I might be getting ahead of what you're going to ask me, but you think like, it seems so flippin' simple. Why wasn't this made yet? Like, you put a 2x4 there, it works, but it hurts their feet as a trip hazard. Well, what about some sort of brush? So that's what I did. I just went and I put a push broom. That's how it got created. I put a push broom head, which lasted about a month. Big waste of money. I had to keep replacing them. And I had a friend come up from Virginia, like in horse country. She came to visit. She's like, "What's that?" Like, "It's a push broom." She says, "Well, where'd you get it?" It's a push broom. She's like, "Well, there's got to be something like that on the market." I was like, I don't think there is. So we spent that whole weekend Googling and looking up stuff, patents and whatnot, to see if there was something like it on the market, and there wasn't. So I just kind of rolled with it. You just gotta just roll with it, and here we are, 3.5 years later.
Yeah. So tell us exactly what it is and what it does. I know what it is. I thought when I saw it, I was like, this is so brilliant. For me, I immediately got it, and I think people do. It's a very simple product, and I had my own boarding barn, and I used to see just dollars just being dragged out into the aisleway. So tell us exactly what it is.
So I actually have one of my models here. It's on a 2x4. It is a 6-inch high brush component. It's made of nylon, and it keeps your horse from dragging bedding out, but they're not, I don't know if you can see it very well here. They're not going to get hurt on it. It bends.
Goes right through,
and it goes right through. So we sell them in 4 feet long. They're you can cut them with this hacksaw. If you have a longer threshold, I've got people that have run-ins that use them, length, end to end. But it stops a large amount of bedding from leaving your stall. Nothing's 100%. I'm not going to say 100% effective, but it has saved me so much money. And they're flexible, they're safe, they're simple, they're low profile. It's just, I love it, but I also amended it. So
no, I do too. Like I said, I immediately got it, and I can visualize just really everything. I had a little barn in my my backyard at one point, and I can see putting it in there because that saves me time. So at
Yeah,
the, at the
absolutely.
time, it saved me time and the cost. And then when I had a bigger barn, I mean, I think it's so brilliant. So you told us how you came up with it. And then for somebody that I personally love to mentor people, I have people that reach out like, how did you invent the app? How do you do that? And I love to share that insight because there's no textbook out there. There's no one that says, when you think of something, here's the next step. And it's a lot of Googling. I listen to a lot of podcasts. So if somebody has an idea, because I really believe that I see so many really cool inventions, or products on the market, like at Tractor Supply and Dover and, Smart Pack. And I'm like, somebody did that, somebody did that. So if somebody had an idea, where would they start? Like, what did you do? You had you and your friend, but then what did you do?
Oh, well, I did some sketching, poorly, I might add. I'm not an artist by any stretch of the imagination. So it ended up looking like a kindergartner did the sketches on it. I just tried different ideas in my head and tried to put them on paper first. And especially obviously with product invention, you have to know how to produce it, whether it's prototype. Well, obviously you need a prototype. And that was the hardest part starting for me. But I reached out on social media asking if anyone knew a company, a person that could work with me to create this idea. And sure enough, since I talked to everybody, I had a friend whose son-in-law actually does entrepreneur designing engineering, and he's 20 minutes away.
Wow.
So I approached him. This was going on 4 years ago. It'll be 4 years in August. They don't take on every invention. They don't take on every entrepreneur. So when I went into their office, with my sketch pad looking like my 7-year-old brother could have done a better job than I did with this paper saying, this is what I want to do. These aren't horse people. And they looked at that, and an hour and a half later, like, hey, we'll take you on. And of course I was like, of course you will. But in the inside, I'm like, no. So you have to know people. And if you don't know people, you have to be willing to reach out to people. And that's from the very beginning. I could have just said, well, I can't find anybody to actually do this, so heck with it and be done with it. You have to be able to put yourself out there and talk. And like I said, phone calls, videos, I'm doing a lot more videos now too. But going and going live and going to these places and saying, hey, this is what I got, and just keep pushing through. That's really where it started.
I think, that's awesome. So with a patent process, how does that work? Like just for somebody, because I hear people, say like, I've got this idea, I don't know what to do. I didn't have to go through the patent. So what is that? Fairly simple process?
No, it is not. No. And I'm not an expert on patents. I would recommend to anybody pursuing an invention is to hire a patent attorney. And, he guided me through my provisional patents, which protected me while I was developing this product. I don't speak much about them because I don't know enough about them to say, you should definitely do this, you should definitely do that. But hire a patent attorney, get at least a provisional patent to get you through the development process. Always have your non-disclosure agreements available, which your lawyer will help you with. Because you have this great idea. Who knows if someone else is going to have the same thing? You need to be protected. And there's always going to be people that are going to try to copy you. And you just got to have the best product and, just the best product. That's really all there is to it. And have a legal team on your side through the whole thing, for sure.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice. I think what I've always loved about you, and from our first conversation, you believe so strongly in your product, and that passion really comes across, and we were talking earlier just about, it's tough being an entrepreneur, and there are people that are really not always in our corner, and whatever is happening within them. But you really have to be strongly rooted in your belief of your product, because it's tough. And tell me kind of just a little bit about that. I've watched your journey, and we talk, and it's really cool to see that some pretty big companies are recognizing your value. So just tell us a little bit about just where do you find that grit? Because I know that's what it takes.
I think the biggest critic of me is me. knowing that I didn't go to school for engineering, I didn't go to school for marketing, I don't have an education in any of this. I just know I needed something. There's going to be people, companies, whatever, you're going to get a heck of a lot more no's at first than you are yeses. And one of the big things I learned through this whole thing is branding and brand awareness. I have a marketing manager who does my brand awareness, and I didn't realize how big that was. You can't just put out a Facebook ad and expect people to buy your product. They don't know what the heck it is. They want to see testimonials. They want to see pictures. There's always going to be product or service, unsatisfied customers, people that don't see the value in it. That's across the board. Okay, fine. You just got to take it and run with it. Early on in our prototypes, I did have some, I can't think of the word, some barns that I gave free product to, prototype just to get feedback. And most of it was positive. That's why we're here where we're at today. But there were some things that were like, hey, don't like this. Let's try this. My bases, I have 3 different varieties of this base before I settled on what I have. So you have to be willing to take criticism, and some of it's, thankfully, I haven't had anything horrible yet, but it's going to happen. And that happens in life. It happens in business. You just got to take it and move on. And just, realize that you're helping. I know I'm helping people of all different size barns. I got big show barns. I have little barns like me that are like, holy cow, this is amazing. Where has this been all my life? But there's always going to be negative, and you can be a, hopeless optimist like I am, and just, choose to see the good in everything and learn from it.
Yeah, no, I think that's really good. And you and I both believe in outsourcing where we are not strong.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people, and I still do some consulting for people, and I think we always, trying to be everything to everybody, and then you're just totally exhausted. And when you realize where you're not strong and you outsource that, and yes, it is an investment in those outsources, but when you realize that your time is more focused on what you're good at, it's actually really energizing. When we work on things that we're not really talented in or have strength in or passion, it's exhausting. When we're working on something that we love, it's energizing. And I think that's something that I've definitely seen in you, and outsourcing those things. Like you said, you're like, I'm not technically an inventor. I'm not technically this. Yeah. But you did it. And that's the difference. And I think that's what, you and I both want to inspire people when they have an idea, just keep pushing, and absolutely. It's going to happen. If you really believe in it, it's going to happen. It just takes time. I saw this thing it was on Facebook or LinkedIn, and I reposted it, but was the inventor of Subway. They didn't turn a profit for 15 years. Yes. 15 years. And he kept going, and he when he died, he was worth like $1.8 billion. Yeah, and crazy. That was so inspiring that he believed in that sandwich, Okay, so I just want to make sure that I'm covering everything. Okay, so we talked about the advice, and we talked about what you've learned, talked about your challenges. I did want to bring up that challenge about, and everybody will remember when the container ship was stuck in the canal, and we all were like, oh, we certainly don't know anybody that has products from that. And the bedding blocker was on that. So coming from Houston, one of my components, I have components from all over, but it wasn't like on that. It was, everything was detoured. Everything was detoured. Okay. Yes, because of that. And, as someone who's like relying on shipments, like, are you kidding me? Like, so close. That's what it was, because your products are US made. So but that was, everything was detoured because of that. Yeah. And that's hard to explain to somebody when they want their product. Yeah. And I just had another, you saw I posted, and it was just posted today, like my shipping delays from freight were delayed for a while because there's not enough truck drivers. And I have my property, I can't have a big 53-foot truck in there. So, you like to always have product, but some things are out of your control. You just can't control it. You just kind of got to wait and see what happens. Yes. So as we wrap this up, what is just some random advice to anyone that wants to get into a business, and like, what if you had one thing that you could share with somebody who was interested in starting a business? Because you've done both. You invented a product and you started a business. Like, you literally started everything from zero.
Yeah, I have two businesses technically, but yes.
Yes. And no, so just saying with bedding blocker, because you've got the boarding, you've got, all this other stuff, but if just specifically about starting a new business, starting a product, what is your take home advice?
Okay. So patience, and you need money. Money does not grow on trees. You need to go out and ask for it. I do have investors. Thanks, mom and dad. Shout out to you guys. And I have some other investors too that have been extremely helpful. If you are developing a product and they tell you, oh, give it a year, triple that, because if you're going to do something, do it right and make sure it's how you want it. Offer your opinion. It's your product. It's your baby. Have a legal team, marketing, anything. You have to invest in this and be willing to go into debt. It's terrifying. I hate it, but it's part of business. And, I have a solution to a problem. It's going to pick up steam. I've only been selling since beginning of August when I got my first shipment. I sold out my first 250 units quickly, and thankfully I had some coming up. So patience, take the negative, take days off, for Pete's sake, don't work yourself to the bone, and just enjoy the process and realize where do you want to go and work backwards from there.
I love it. That's so good. Okay. If somebody would like to order or learn more about the bedding blocker, tell us how to do that.
Yeah. So we're on almost every social media outlet. You can just search bedding blocker, BEDDING blocker. Beddingblocker.com is our website. We have YouTube, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Instagram, Twitter. I just joined Twitter. Oh, that's a fun one. But yeah, really, if you Google bedding blocker, Google it, Facebook, we will definitely pop up. So, like us, follow us. And if there's any questions, my email's out there. And you can always use the contact form. And yeah, I'm happy to answer questions. And yeah, that's it. That's the bedding blocker.
There it is. Yeah. And I will put your contact and email in the show notes as well. So thank you so much for being on our Ask the Experts episode number 2. So exciting. And I really do appreciate it's so much fun having another entrepreneur, even though we're in the equestrian industry and you're such a great advertiser on Main Street Market, and we try to help market you. It's a great partnership, but it's also great to be able to talk about ideas and frustrations and somebody who's got that like-mindedness of, really being passionate in their product. So yay. All right. Thank you, April.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.